The most important thing about global warming is this. Whether humans are responsible for the bulk of climate change is going to be left to the scientists, but it's all of our responsibility to leave this planet in better shape for the future generations than we found it.
What exactly is climate change and why should we care? Well, the Earth's climate has changed throughout history. Most of these slight changes are caused by small variations in the Earth's orbit. But climate change as we know it today is characterized by an abrupt increase in the Earth's temperature. It is estimated to have gotten 1.2 to 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit warmer in just the last century. 10 out of the last 13 years were the warmest on record. 97% of climate scientists agree that this new tendency is not caused by the variations of the Earth's orbit, but rather very likely caused by human activities. That means you and me.
Let's look at how global warming has already impacted the world. As seen in these photos, glaciers like the Muir and Mendenhall are rapidly retreating. This is a common trend in glaciers throughout the world. These national treasures could be gone in less than 30 years. Our grandchildren and maybe even children may not be able to see these wonders of the world. We may be the last generation to see these national treasures.
Another effect of global warming today is the rapid loss of ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica and sea ice in the Arctic and Antarctic. This has a profound effect on animals living on this ice like polar bears. Their physical habitat is disappearing as we speak. Melt cycles in ice begin earlier, and the ice has been refreezing later in the year. Watch this model showing the rapid loss of sea ice since 2004.
At this point, you know that climate change and global warming are serious issues. However, you may still be wondering, how does this personally impact me in Texas? In fact, we asked your peers that same exact question.
So, what do you think your carbon footprint is? Or do you know what a carbon footprint is? Could you please try to explain the concept?
It's a foot made of carbon when you step in sand.
Okay. So, how do you think right now you're responsible for global warming, or what do you do to fight it in your daily life?
I recycle, and that's about it.
Okay. So, why do you think this issue is going to matter to you personally? Why do you think it's going to impact you in the future?
The snowy places will go bye-bye, and the animals there will die.
Okay. So we interviewed another student on what they thought about global warming and climate change. So, what do you think a carbon footprint is, and what do you think your carbon footprint is?
A carbon footprint is like how I don't know how do you call it, but like whenever you use a lot of electricity or something, it's how you're impacting the earth and how the environment's being reacted or affected.
So why do you think this issue is going to be very serious in the future?
Because it'll start to ruin the land and make it like very gross and nasty, and everything's going to just get worse from this point on, really.
So how do you think this issue is going to personally impact you, like you personally, and our generation in the future? Not just someplace over there, but here personally in Texas.
In Texas, really, I think it'll make the air bad.
Okay.
And yeah.
One major change we will see is the introduction of tropical mosquito-borne illnesses in more temperate climates like Texas. The warming climate will allow diseases like dengue, malaria, and chikungunya to spread north. This has been happening as seen by the map of dengue spreading north in the U.S. We will have to deal with these deadly epidemics in the near future. This will drastically change the way we think of our environment in Texas. Another major threat we face is the loss of major coastal, cultural, and economic hubs like New York City and Boston. This map shows how Boston would look with some and no proposed carbon regulations. We will lose major American historical monuments by 2070 if this trend continues. Another effect of sea level rise is the swallowing and drowning of small Pacific islands such as the nations of Kiribati and Vanuatu. In fact, the president of Kiribati has petitioned to the United Nations for relocation plans due to sea level rise.
What the scientific community says, and through your research, through your personal research, how much of time does Kiribati have?
Well, for some communities, the time is over, they've had to move.
Yes.
There are communities which I believe will have to move within 5 years.
Okay.
And so the frequency will increase. The severity of what's happening will increase. As you know, we don't have any high ground to move to. And so once it happens, it's going to be almost total.
We face an uphill battle as our government and some people in our country deny or ignore this issue. Despite the fact that 97% of climate scientists agree that climate change is man-made, our own president has repeatedly denied this issue on his Twitter feed. The head of the EPA today denies climate change is man-made. As one of the wealthiest nations on Earth and one of the top carbon contributors, it is our responsibility to be on the forefront of this issue. Progress made over the last 30 years looks to be lost under the current administration.
Much of this denial has to do with the corporate lobbying in the government. Energy corporations often pay for candidates who offer lesser environmental restrictions. Data is often manipulated or blatantly ignored in favor of business interests.
Despite the fact that things are looking grim right now, there is hope for our planet. There are steps we can take, and there is work being done to solve this issue.
In 2015, world leaders met at the United Nations to ratify the Paris Climate Agreement. If in effect, the overall temperature rise in the Earth would be capped to a 2-degree rise from pre-industrial times. As of now, 147 countries have ratified the treaty. While not completely fixing the issue, this treaty definitely provides hope for the future.
Another weapon we have in the fight against climate change is new technology. Watch Top Trending explain some new, exciting, and promising technological innovations.
Smart power grids. Unlike traditional power grids, smart grids use modern technology to adjust to the power needs of individual areas in real time and are able to draw on a variety of resources, including clean energy sources. Smart grids use modern processing power and even artificial intelligence to communicate with themselves along different power stations. They use the exchange of information to balance the distribution of energy, reducing output to areas of low demand while increasing supply to high demand areas without wasting energy. Some of these grids even use local renewable energy sources such as nuclear power plants or windmill farms, making intelligent decisions to use these sources when demand is very high or when it is more efficient. A team of California scientists have proposed a technique that falls in the category of geoengineering, the direct manipulation of the environment. They call their invention a cloud whitener, and they say it does exactly that. The device injects very, very tiny particles of seawater directly into clouds, which causes the clouds to become more reflective and deflect more light away from the Earth. The machine was recently tested on a small scale at the University of Washington.
What can we do as teens?
If every person in the UK planted a tree, we'd each cut carbon dioxide emissions by 2 kilograms per year. Added together, that's 128,000 tons of CO2. You can make a bigger difference by recycling. Every household in the UK which recycles saves 91 kilograms of carbon dioxide. If every household recycled, we'd save 2.4 million tons. Switching to energy-saving light bulbs saves 120 kilograms per household. That's 3.2 million tons of CO2 if every home in the UK followed suit. We can also help cut the energy used in the treatment of wasted water. If we all turned off the tap when brushing our teeth, we'd cut 7.9 million tonnes from the UK's emissions. None of those examples would require a huge change in lifestyle, but if we all did all of them, we'd save 13.6 million tonnes of CO2, and we'd beat our target of reducing emissions by 2.5% in the first year.
As Gandhi once said, be the change you want to see. Whether you like it or not, climate change is our future. It will drastically change how we view our world and how our kids will see this planet. The future is in our hands. Whether it's voting for the right politician or making simple lifestyle changes, each and every one of us can contribute to the battle. One person is weak, but together we are unstoppable. Join us and take back control of our future.